A user left a comment on one of my shorts where I show a contour drawing of an apple. He requested a real-time video of the process, and he also mentioned that he couldn't wrap his head around the turns and angles of shapes. So in this video, I'll go over a few tips on how to block out contours. So we're going to focus on 3 basic contour types. Let's start with the outer contour. So an outer contour can be thought of as the border or the outline or the silhouette of an object. Next, let's go over inner contours, and those are just lines inside of our form that help define the details of our object. So like these wrinkles here, or the ones here on my joints. It could even be like the veins here, fingernail outline. Those can all be thought of as inner contours. Next, we have cross contours. Cross contours are a bit difficult to understand because they're not physically observable on an object. We have to imagine them. So to help with that, I like to use these fake fruits, and this one I went over it with a Sharpie, and this one I went over it with tape. So these cross contours are just going to help us define the shape of an object. Another thing that might be useful is understanding value. So anytime we have a change of value on our form, that's indicating a plane change. And those plane changes are what these cross contour lines are sort of following. So I measured the width by the height, and it's almost 1-to-1. So 1 unit across and then 1 unit in length. It's not exact, it's a little bit shorter, so I'm just going to estimate. I'm just going to go a little bit shorter here. These lines here kind of help me get started, you know. It's always it's a little bit scary to just approach a blank page sometimes. So now I have something here, and I know that my object needs to fit within these borders. So next I'll establish the basic shapes. And before I start putting down lines, I like to take a few seconds or minutes to observe the object. So here I'll establish the underlying shapes. I'm paying attention to the direction that things are pointing in, and I'm also paying attention to the type of shape. So here I'll start off with this sphere, since this is the larger shape and it's in the foreground. This is going to be my main area of focus. And then in the back here we have sort of this cylindrical shape. I'm just going to draw sort of an oval here. And I'm paying attention to things like where do these two shapes intersect, like how high do I need to go, how low. Same with this bottom part over here. So I'm thinking about the relationship between these two shapes. This one seems to be pointing down a little bit too much, and then this one is kind of going in this direction. So I need to adjust that a little bit. I'm also thinking about the size of these shapes. So again, nothing is set in stone here, and I'm keeping things very light. I hope it's not too difficult for you to see, but at this point I don't want to go too heavy with my lines, because then it's going to be hard to go back if I make a mistake. So I'm pretty happy with this. So I have, again, just 2 very basic shapes, and from here I can start to block things out a little bit. So I'm going to start with my outer contours. And I don't want to get carried away here. I want to keep things very simple. I'm going to define some of the planes that I can notice. I'm going to start here in this corner. Have a little bit of a flat plane here. And come down. And I think this point here is the lowest point, so nothing is going to go lower than this point here. So remember that nothing is really set in stone at this stage. We can make any changes that we might need to make. This line here, so this sphere is in front of this object in the back. So I'm going to do a little bit of overlapping here, and this kind of bleeds into my inner contours. Same with this top area here. Again, this front part, I want this to be in front. So by adding these dark lines here, it kind of separates these two objects and brings this one in front. Alright, next I'm going to focus on some of these inner contours. So I'm going to start with this shape here. So I'll start off with this basic circle, and once I have the placement where I want it, I can go ahead and start defining the edges a little bit more. And remember to look back at your object. Don't get stuck on the paper. You have all these details in here, these nice textures, but I'm going to ignore that for now. So one thing about the inner contours on this object is that they're kind of following what our cross contours would do. So we're going to get some of these cross contours for free, so that's nice. But over here on this part, this is kind of smooth, so we're not going to get any of this this detail. So over here we'll have to use our imagination. So again, these lines are observable on my object. I can see these grooves. Now I'm exaggerating them a little bit. They're not this dark, but go in here and shade things. I'll go ahead and tone them down a little bit. Some nice overlap right here. Same with this. Again, these lines, I can observe them. They're physical patterns on this shape. But back here, you know, the lighting is not as good, and it's a little bit further away from us, and I can't see any of these lines, so I'm imagining them. But I can see some plane changes. So, you know, as the object turns from us, I can see that this area is a little bit darker. So these cross contours are sort of following that. Let's go in this direction. So all the marks that I make moving forward are going to help define these shapes. So my shadows, my details, they're all going to follow this pattern. And when we start adding our shadows, we can follow the same process that we did for the main object. So if we want to put our cast shadow down here, we can start with a basic shape. I'm going like this. And we can start to block that out the same way that we blocked out the main shape here. This is not the best lighting. I have multiple light sources, so it's kind of casting two shadows. And again, I can also do the same thing with my form shadows. So if I were to take this drawing any further, I'm going to start with my Terminator, and then again, following sort of the shapes that I have here, I'm gonna have my shadows kind of follow that. And like I said, same thing with detail. Once I start adding detail, you know, I don't want to just add things across the drawing, because that's going to make it look flat. So I'm going to make sure that any blemishes, any textures, they're going to follow these contours that I've established. And that's gonna give us an end result that'll look like something that's believable. If anyone else has any more requests for videos like this, please let me know in the comments. Check the link to my blog post. It'll be down in the description, and it'll offer more information about contours.